So I've been a gamer for literally as long as I can remember, and there is a whole load of games that I have a whole load of nostalgia for. And more than ever recently, I have felt a huge urge to return to these games. Some of these I actually own and still have access to, but a lot of them I don't, and they are lost to the depths of times due to lack of consoles, time, money, whatever. But the internet, as much as it can be a crap hole, is a place full of beautiful people who have archived some things that we once thought were lost. When I think about these games, I find myself yearning to return to them. And when I can't return to them, I talk about them. And when I talk about them, I find a bunch of other people who have had the same gaming experiences as me and long to return back to the same games. Something I find when I am discussing these games and long lost things with people, we often have this shared feeling of love and passion for something which was once so simple and normal in our life, but now holds so much meaning. Anyway, the point of that ramble is that I am going to be starting a new series on my channel where I'm going to be diving into some of those long lost games that we may have forgotten from our childhood. If you know my channel and my content, you've probably guessed that these would be of the girly gaming genre of the 2000s, and you would be correct. These were fundamental softwares, games, titles, which really built up this part of our personality and our life to be what it is today. Which is why I am giving them the time of day and I am giving them the space that they deserve to be discussed on the internet, and I really hope that you can tag along and reminisce with me. Another part of this series is that I will be rating the games as I go through them on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of quality of the game, how badly I want to play this game again, which kind of speaks for itself, and then also aging. If you do enjoy this video and all things girly gaming, give that subscribe button a little high five and join the Otter Den so you can see many more videos like this. And without further delay, let's get right on into it. One of the first handheld consoles I ever owned was a pearl pink Game Boy Color Advanced. And when I tell you I am dying to get my hands on another one of these consoles, specifically the pink one, I am literally digging my own grave and making my own coffin. I am desperate for another pink Game Boy. And one of my friends, Louise, who I am very, very jealous of, still has her pink Game Boy Advanced. And I was lucky enough to be able to replay one of my favorite childhood games, Dogz with a Z for Game Boy Advanced. Parents must have been praising our good old friend Ubisoft to the high heavens for their line of pet simulation games which enable kids to own their own virtual pets. Now, Dogz GBA, if you haven't already guessed, specifically allowed children to own their own virtual dog in a variety of different breeds. The version of the game that I personally know is Dogz with a Z GBA, but what I didn't know until I was researching this is that it was initially released in 2004 in Japan under the name Kawaii Koinu. I'm probably wildly misreading that. I really have a habit of doing that. I just need to research how to pronounce things before I start filming, and this means cute puppy in Japanese. As mentioned, it is published by Ubisoft and developed by MOT Inc., who has done a lot of the Imagine games that we all know and love, and also Backbone Emeryville. In terms of the actual content of the game, you begin the game by creating your own avatar, and by creating, I mean choosing a main color for your little girl or boy to dress as, and then giving them a name. But you'd best hope that your name isn't more than 6 letters, because the max you get is 6. So my full birth name, first name, wouldn't be able to have it. After this, your character then picks out a puppy from the pet shop. The game randomizes which puppies show up in the shop each time, and I remember as a kid restarting the game so many times to get the exact puppy I wanted, as you can get different breeds in different colors and also different genders, obviously. Once you've decided what puppy you want, you then take them home and begin your life with them. Obviously, the game is a pet simulation, but it also has a lot of life simulation elements with it too. As you complete the daily tasks of successfully raising your puppy, you also have basic everyday things to do, like eating, sleeping, chores, and going to school. The further you progress through the games, the more activities you can do with your dog. And once you hit the 21 in-day game stage, you then have an ending depending on how well you treated and looked after your dog. And I didn't actually realize how intuitive this game was when I played it as a child. There's actually 18 different breeds in this game, when initially I thought there was like 6 or 7. And each breed has its own set personality, which affects the way that you interact with them. And the gender of the dog also affects this, with male dogs tending to be a little bit more crazy and hyperactive, and they have a little bit more energy, and female dogs are a lot calmer and a bit easier to care for. So as you are doing activities with your dog and you are training them, this is all tracked and progressed in your dog's stats and training levels. The stats cover health and care related things like how well trained, groomed and socialized they are, and the training panel goes a little bit deeper and shows the progress of each skill specifically, like sit, toilet training, waiting before they eat. You also have to ensure that you clean the house, otherwise your dog will get ill. And I did not realize that this was part of the game. I just loved hoovering up the little dust bunnies as a kid, but I didn't realize how important that actually was to the welfare of your dog. One major point of the game that I remember so vividly getting to as a child is when you can eventually walk your dog. So I think this is like 5 in-game days in after you bring your puppy home, and then you get their shots or vaccinations so that they're not going to get ill when you take them out, and then you can take them for a little walk around your town, which is the most aesthetic town I've ever seen. Now, another really intuitive part of the game is that there are multiple endings, and thinking back, I don't think I ever actually finished this game. There are 11 different endings for this game. There is 5 good, 5 bad, and then 1 neutral. I'm pretty sure actually I probably got the neutral one, but because it's so uneventful, I just can't remember it. Some of the good endings are that they become a movie star, they are like a neighborhood celebrity. The neutral ending is kind of like, cool, you looked after your dog and you get to keep it. And then some of the bad endings are that your puppy is ill, so if you don't keep up with like household chores and do the hoovering, and also like misbehaved puppy or irresponsible owner, which obviously kind of speaks for itself. The vibes of this game are immaculate. I literally could not ask for anything more. I loved playing it so much as a kid, and even as an adult, the aesthetics of the game are so appealing to me. And I think the kawaii, cutesy vibe of it is really a sign of the anime weeb that I was gonna become because I loved it that much. The kind of like pastel theming and like cutesy pixelated style of the world is really, really lovely to watch and satisfying to play with. And I love that there's little like hidden interactions. The game doesn't explicitly tell you how to do things or where things are. Like you can change the music by accessing the stereo, and you can change, like you can turn on the TV and then change the channel over a couple of times. You can also like grab a chocolate snack out of the cupboard, and I'm pretty sure you can feed it to your dog. And the game's like, oh, chocolate is really bad for dogs, don't do that. Also, the parents in this game are so freaking cute. Other than that couple that got together in my MMO video, these guys are the couple. They are them. And the way that they say bon appetit before every meal literally makes me kick my feet and giggle. I just love it. So in terms of rating for Dogz GBA, quality, I gave it a 5 out of 5. There is literally nothing I can think to correct this game other than maybe making the avatar / character design a little bit more in depth, like being able to change the hair color, the clothes, a little bit more customization would be really nice. How badly do I want to play this game again? A 4 out of 5. I would love to experience this game again. I feel like I'd probably play it once or twice through and then kind of be happy and have it as part of my collection, but I would really, really love to be able to access and play this game again. In terms of aging, I've also given it a 4 out of 5, just because I do think, even though she has aged like fine wine, no, actually, you know what? I am going to give it a 5 out of 5 because this game is actually so in-depth and intuitive with the endings and the 18 different dog breeds. There's 18 different breeds in this game. It's a beautiful game that engages both kids and adults, and I wouldn't change it for the world. If you've watched any content from me before, you've probably seen my Imagine series video where I covered all of the Imagine line games that were produced and released by Ubisoft between the year 2007 and 2013. And making that video and researching it opened up a huge bucket load of memories of these games that I just had completely forgotten about, and I wanted to take this opportunity to delve a little deeper into one of those and have a little look at our favourite housewife simulator game. Babyz with a Z for DS was developed by Visual Impact Productions, who have created a lot of the other Imagine DS games. Not my favourite ones, but a bucket load of them, and obviously then was published by Ubisoft. And this one, surprisingly, is a lot more popular than I initially thought it was. I played it a lot as a kid, And I also got the sequel, the Baby Club game, where I feel like it's more appropriate and that you're a babysitter and the plot makes a lot more sense. And even though it is a little bit questionable in its content, it did bring me a lot of joy as a girl, and it obviously brought a lot of you guys a lot of joy too. The game begins as we become a student who is tasked with looking after her grandma's house while her grandma is away on vacation. And suddenly there are 6 babies on your doorstep who need caring for. I love that the grandma was just like so desperate for a holiday. She knew that no one was going to take the job of caring for the house and the babies, so she just drags her granddaughter into it, who's on vacation, who then has to not only look after a house, but then look after 6 people's babies, but she was just not prepared for, while her grandma's away in Benidorm, having cocktails, all inclusive, 5-star hotel, living her best life. So as you progress through the game, you care for 6 different babies, which you unlock through different time frames of the game. One of them being Joe, who is an absolute mood. Joe loves to wake up in a bad mood, and honestly, I would too if I was him, because his name is Joe Kerr. She really set him up for something, didn't she? So all of the babies supposedly have different levels of needs and interests, but from what I remember when I played it, I don't remember them being all that different, other than looking slightly different and some of them crying a bit more than others. You do all of the same activities with them pretty much anyway, which range from classic baby care stuff to feeding them, bathing them, playing and entertaining them, rocking them to sleep. But you also have to do household chores like mowing the lawn, gardening, and hoovering. One of my favorite activities that you do in the game is that you grow your own food and then you turn it into baby food for the babies. It's giving cottagecore vibes. As the game gets harder and you are progressing in in-game days, you also have to then do overnight care for babies, and one day a random stork comes up to your window and decides that you are going to do a babysitting degree. Not only are you a student on her holiday, on her break, caring for babies, caring for her grandma's house, you're now having to do another degree. Also, on the note of storks, the main stork needs to 0121 do one. He is so annoying. The fact that they made it that you have to go to the cutscene of him saying good morning to you every morning, I really think that should be like a one-time thing, and then if you want to interact with him, you knock on the fireplace. I really don't think we need the constant reminders that this stork is existing and living in this house with your grandma. And I don't know what's crazier, the fact that this stork exists and is like a babysitting genius and is best mates with your grandma, or the fact that you haven't hit that like button yet and subscribed to the channel. That was so seamless. One part of this game that I do like, other than the gardening and making of the food, is that you earn a little bit of money whilst you are doing this babysitting, and you're able to customize the house and also buy new items and toys for the babies that you were caring for. Once you've unlocked everything and you've done all the days, you finally sit your exam, and then the game sort of finishes, and that's it. In terms of vibes of this game, they don't hit for me at all. There's some elements that I don't mind, like I do think the 3D babies are really, really cute, and as far as girly game babies go, like this is an achievement. Like, why is it so hard for people to make 3D babies look cute? I also don't mind like the 3D elements. I like the way the garden looks, but there is something about the 2D home screen with the house and the stork that really gives me this weird liminal daunting feeling. And I spoke about this in my Imagine Games video, and I'm really glad that some people agreed with me. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's the color palette first off, and that's why I'm really glad that you can customize the house and make it pink, purple, blue, whatever color you want it to be. But also the fact that there is not a single 90-degree angle in this building. I understand that grandma lives in a cottage, but who the heck did they hire to build this house? There is not a 90-degree angle in any window, floorboard, wall, coving, and it absolutely sends my perfectionism OCD trait that resides in me. I hate it. But other than that, obviously this game does have its design flaws visually and game mechanically. It's a little bit repetitive, and obviously, as I mentioned, I really enjoyed this game as a kid, and I know lots and lots of other people did, so Ubisoft were obviously doing something right. In terms of rating, quality of the game, I did give it a 2 out of 5, but I think I'm going to give it a 3, just because the babies are very, very cute. The game works. With the exam thing, even though it's a little bit weird, it does give you that higher level of risk, and the challenge of the game does increase as you're playing. The 2D screens are just so like weird looking. I just don't know what it is. How badly do I want to play this game again? I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5. I really don't feel a need to repeat this experience. I'm quite happy with leaving it in my childhood and having this research and refining it through this. That's more than enough for me. I really don't, you know. Aging, I gave it a 2 out of 5 just because graphically it's not seamless, and it's a literal housewife simulator. Like, what are we teaching young girls? And obviously, there is nothing wrong with wanting to be a housewife. Honestly, it crosses my mind at least once a day that my life would be lovely if I could just have children, not work, and just like stay at home and do things. As a longtime lover of the Sims franchise, I spent a lot of my childhood playing The Sims. From the OG PC games, which were great in themselves, to the console releases, which are another world of wild and wacky. Like, these games are crazy. And one in particular that I still actually play to this day is The Sims Bustin Out for PS2, which was released by EA and Maxis in 2003 for Xbox, PS2, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and N-Gage in 2004, which, if you didn't know, is a stunning gaming console slash mobile phone hybrid by Nokia. So The Sims Bustin Out is like The Sims, but without the sandbox element to it so much. You play as a sim that you create, and may I say, even though the like physical body variations and customizations aren't that varied, the clothing in this game pops off. Like, it's literally my dream wardrobe. The Sims Bustin Out knows what's going on fashion-wise. Once you've created your sim, given them a cute little outfit, it is time to jump into the gameplay, which is where you complete the less conventional form of leaving the nest or moving out. Because you're about to move into 10 different house shares. And as someone who shared a house in university, I do not envy this sim. So the different houses kind of work as levels. You start in your mum's house and then you move up into different houses from there, and they require you to reach a different set of skills, friendships, career levels, in order to move from house to house. And the end aim of the game is essentially to make it to Malcolm's mansion. And yes, that is the classic Malcolm land grab that we all know and love from the Sims franchise. And if you don't know Sims lore or the sort of story behind some of the Sims in the Sims franchise, Malcolm land grab is kind of like the Sharpay Evans of the Sims world, I think. He is arrogant, rich, and just a pain in the ass. He goes around stealing crap from people for no reason, and sometimes it will be something that you've done, like in the past. He has this like vendetta against you, and will just steal the items of whoever you move in with. And it's then your job to retrieve these items and like earn enough to be able to buy them back or go and find them. And this is one of the activities that you normally have to do in order to move up into the next house. You also have to do specific actions in the house, like when you move into Goth Manor, you have to exorcise a ghost that has been like haunting them for ages, and that's basically it. Once you reach the end of the game and the top of your career, you will eventually get to move into Malcolm's mansion, which is one of the most underwhelming things I have ever experienced. I never actually got there as a kid, but I was looking online at what Malcolm's mansion actually looks like, and it's kind of shit, not gonna lie. In the mind of Maxis, any house that has a swimming pool is automatically a mansion, no matter how big or like weirdly decorated it is. You can also do the classic Sims sandbox mode in this game, although it's quite limited in terms of story progression, in-game progression, things like that. And there's also limited furnishings and customization of these, as you could only have so much on one disc for a console, whereas like on a PC, you can have tons more items and different colors for them. You can have children and get married, but once your kids age up from being a baby, they don't age up any more than that. I'm pretty sure I don't remember having kids and them aging into an adult. I'm pretty sure they stay kids forever. I spent so much time in the sandbox mode for Sims Busting Out. It's actually kind of sad. And I remember playing one specific family that was in there. I believe it's like 3 women, maybe 4 women, who are like all living in this house. And you like control them all and live their lives, and I really enjoyed that. So there are many beautiful things about this game, and much like Dogz GBA, the vibes are just immaculate, but for very different reasons. The main thing I think with this game is that it's old Sims that old-time Simmers will really miss before it became filtered, like The Sims 4. It just has that sort of risque adult humor side, which you could get away with back in the day. As a kid, I had no clue what was going on half the time, but I still loved the game and loved engaging with it. And it is just so prevalent that it is very much a product of this time. And whenever I sit down, fire up my little pink PS2 and put this bad boy in, I am literally teleported to the mid-2000s of my childhood, and it is such a beautiful feeling. In terms of ratings for this game, I gave this game a 4 out of 5 in terms of quality, just because the graphics are a little bit dodgy, and the Sims kind of move robotically and a little bit weird, and some of the interactions take way too long. Like, the way that time plays out in this game is kind of weird. It literally takes your sim like 2 hours to make and eat a salad. But I did keep the quality rating of this game quite high, just because you can feel that the passion for the Sims franchise was still very much in with Maxis and EA. Well, not so much EA, because I feel like much of the passion came from Maxis and the original creators of The Sims, but you can feel that passion and love and creativity and drive to produce interesting and engaging games that they knew that their fans would love. And I think The Sims Busting Out is definitely a product of that, and you can definitely feel it when you're playing it. How badly do I want to play this game again? I gave it a 5 out of 5. As I mentioned, I still have it and I still play it every now and then, and the fact that I keep returning to it throughout my life, back from when I first played it when I was like 6 or 7, and now I'm nearly 25 and I'm still coming back to play it again, I think really says a lot to the aging of this game, which I gave a 3 out of 5, just because there is some crass moments that some people probably wouldn't agree with and they would find probably quite insulting or offensive. The playability of the game and the way that it keeps you engaged, I think it definitely has aged very well. I love taking a look at some of the games of our childhood and past, and I really hope you guys have too. If you did, don't forget to leave this video a like and give that little subscribe button a high five. Not only does it really help out my video in the algorithm, but it lets me know that I'm making the right type of content for you, and I will see you in the next one. Love you, bye!